Good morning, everyone. It's Terry, 1965 gal, back again with another episode of All Souls Matter. And today I'm going to be reading from the book of Genesis, chapter 29 and on, for 30 minutes, and then have a little discussion about those chapters. So first, let's start out with prayer. Dear Lord, please bless this prayer, and please bless your word so that it may go out into the world and help all the souls that need it. And thank you for everything, all your blessings that you give me, and thank you for your word. In the name of Jesus I pray, amen. Yeah. Here we go. Let's get started. I'm going to set my timer now for 30 minutes because I'm a little long. I'll probably go a little long otherwise. Okay, here we go. Chapter 29 in the book of Genesis. Let's get going. Then Jacob went on his journey and came into the land of the people of the east. And he looked, and behold, a well in the field, and lo, there were 3 flocks of sheep lying by it. For out of that well they watered the flocks, and a great stone was upon the well's mouth. And thither were all the flocks gathered, and they rolled the stone from the well's mouth, and watered the sheep, and put on the stone again upon the well's mouth in his place. And Jacob said unto them, My brethren, whence be ye? And they said, Of Haran are we. And he said unto them, Know ye Laban the son of Nahor? And they said, We know him. And he said unto them, Is he well? And they said, He is well. And behold, Rachel his daughter cometh with the sheep. And he said, Lo, is it yet high day? Neither is it time that the cattle should be gathered together. Water ye the sheep, and go and feed them? And they said, We cannot until the flocks be gathered together, until they roll the stone from the well's mouth. Then we water the sheep. And while he yet spake with them, Rachel came with her father's sheep, for she kept them. And it came to pass, when Jacob saw Rachel, the daughter of Laban his mother's brother, and the sheep of Laban his mother's brother, that Jacob went near and rolled the stone from the well's mouth, and watered the flock of Laban his mother's brother. And Jacob kissed Rachel, and lifted up his voice, and wept. And Jacob told Rachel that he was her father's brother, and that he was Rebekah's son. And she ran and told her father. And it came to pass, when Laban heard the tidings of Jacob his sister's son, that he ran to meet him, and embraced him, and kissed him, and brought him to his house. And he told Laban all these things. And Laban said to him, Surely thou art my bone and my flesh. And he abode with him the space of a month. Laban said unto Jacob, Because thou art my brother, shouldest thou therefore serve me for naught? Tell me, what shall thy wages be? And Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the elder was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. Leah was tender-eyed, but Rachel was beautiful and well-favored, and Jacob loved Rachel, and said, I will serve thee 7 years for Rachel thy younger daughter. And Laban said, It is better that I give her to thee, than that I should give her to another man. Abide with me. And Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed unto him but a few days, for the love he had to her. And Jacob said unto Laban, Give me my wife, for my days are fulfilled, that I may go unto her. And Laban gathered together all the men of the place, and made a feast. And it came to pass in the evening that he took Leah his daughter, and brought her to him, and he went in unto her. And Laban gave unto his daughter Leah Zilpah his maid for a handmaid. It came to pass that in the morning, behold, it was Leah. And he said to Laban, What is this thou hast done unto me? Did I not serve with thee for Rachel? Wherefore then hast thou beguiled me? And Laban said, It must not be so done in our country, to give the younger before the firstborn. Fulfill her week. And we will give thee this also for the service which thou shalt serve with me yet 7 other years. And Jacob did so, and fulfilled her week. And he gave him Rachel his daughter to wife also. And Laban gave to Rachel his daughter Bilhah his handmaid to her be her maid. And he went in also unto Rachel, and he loved also Rachel more than Leah, and served him yet 7 other years. And when the Lord saw that Leah was hated, he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. And Leah conceived and bare a son, and she called his name Reuben. For she said, Surely the Lord hath looked upon my affliction. Now therefore my husband will love me. And she conceived again, and bare a son, and said, Because the Lord hath heard that I was hated, he hath therefore given me this son also. And she called his name Simeon. And she conceived again, and bare a son, and said, Now this time will my husband be joined unto me, because I have borne with him 3 sons. Therefore was his name called Levi. And she conceived again, and bare a son, and she said, Now I will praise the Lord. Therefore she called his name Judah, and left bearing. Chapter 30. And when Rachel saw that she bare Jacob no children, Rachel envied her sister, and said unto Jacob, Give me children, or else I die. And Jacob's anger was kindled against Rachel, and he said, Am I God's steed, who hath withheld from the first fruit of the womb? And she said, Behold, my maid Bilhah, go unto her, and she shall bear upon my knees, that I may also have children by her. And she gave him Bilhah her handmaid to wife. Jacob went in unto her. And Bilhah conceived, and bare Jacob a son. And Rachel said, God hath judged me, and hath also heard my voice, and hath given me a son. Therefore called his name Dan. And Bilhah, Rachel's maid, conceived again, and bare Jacob a second son. And Rachel said, With great wrestlings have I wrestled with my sister, and I have prevailed, and called his name Naphtali. And then Leah saw that she had left bearing. She took Zilpah her maid, and gave her to Jacob to wife. And Zilpah, Leah's maid, bare Jacob a son. And Leah said, A troop cometh, and she called his name Gad. And Zilpah's Leah's maid bare Jacob a second son. And Leah said, Happy am I, for the daughters will call me blessed. And she called his name Asher. And Reuben went into the days of wheat harvest, and found mandrakes in the field, and brought them unto his mother Leah. Then Rachel said to Leah, Give me, I pray thee, of thy son's mandrakes. And she said unto her, Is it a small matter that thou hast taken my husband? And wouldest thou take away my son's mandrakes also? And Rachel said, Therefore he shall lie with thee tonight for thy son's mandrakes. And Jacob came out of the field in the evening, and Leah went out to meet him, and said, Thou must come in unto me, for surely I have hired thee with my son's mandrakes. And he lay with her that night. And God hearkened unto Leah, and she conceived, and bare Jacob the 5th son. And Leah said, God hath given me my hire, because I have given my maiden to my husband. And she called his name Ishkar. And Leah conceived again, and bare Jacob the 6th son. And Leah said, God hath endured me with a good dowry. Now will my husband dwell with me, because I have borne him 6 sons. And she called his name Zebulun. Afterward she bare a daughter, and called her name Dinah. And God remembered Rachel, and God hearkened to her, and opened her womb. She conceived and bare a son, and said, God hath taken away my reproach. And she called his name Joseph, and said, The Lord shall add to me another son. And it came to pass, when Rachel had borne Joseph, that Jacob said unto Laban, Send me away, that I may go unto my own place, and to my country. Give me my wives and my children, for whom I have served thee, and let me go, for thou knowest my service which I have done thee. And Laban said unto him, I pray thee, if I have found favor in thine eyes, tarry, for I have learned by experience that the Lord hath blessed me for thy sake. And he said, Appoint me thy wages, and I will give it. And he said unto him, Thou knowest how I have served thee, and how thy cattle was with me. For it was a little which thou hadst before I came, and now increased into a multitude, and the Lord hath blessed thee since my coming. And now when shall I provide for mine own house also? And he said, What shall I give thee? And Jacob said, Thou shalt not give me anything. And if thou wilt do this thing for me, I will again feed and keep thy flock. I will pass through all thy flock today, removing from thence all the speckled and spotted cattle, and all the brown cattle among the sheep, and the spotted and speckled among the goats, and of such shall be my hire. So shall my righteousness answer for me in time to come, when it shall come for my hire before thy face, every one that is not speckled and spotted amongst the goats, and brown amongst the sheep, that shall be counted stolen with me. And Laban said, Behold, I would it might be according to thy word. And he removed that day the he-goats that were ring-staked and spotted, and all the she-goats that were speckled and spotted, and every one that had some white in it, and all the brown amongst the sheep, and he gave them to the hands of his sons. And he had set 3 days' journey betwixt himself and Jacob fed the rest of Laban's flocks. Jacob took him rods of green poplar, of the hazel and chestnut tree, and piled white stakes on them, and made the white appear which was in the rods. And he set the rods which he had pilled before the flocks in the gutters in the watering troughs, when the flocks came to drink, that they should conceive when they came to drink. And the flocks conceived before the rods, and brought forth cattle, ring-straked, speckled, and spotted. And Jacob did separate the lambs, and set the faces of the flocks towards the ring-straked, and all the brown in the flock of Laban. And he put his own flocks by themselves, and put them not unto Laban's cattle. And it came to pass, whensoever the stronger cattle did conceive, that Jacob laid the rods before the eyes of the cattle, that the gutters, or in the gutters, that they might conceive among the rods. But when the cattle were feeble, he put them not in, so the feebler were Laban's, and the stronger Jacob's. And the man increased exceedingly, and had much cattle, and maidservants, and menservants, and camels, and asses. Chapter 31. And he heard the words of Laban's sons, saying, Jacob hath taken away all that was our father's, and of that which was of our fathers hath he gotten all this glory. And Jacob beheld the countenance of Laban, and behold, it was not toward him as before. And the Lord said unto Jacob, Return unto the land of thy fathers, and to thy kindred, and I will be with thee. And Jacob sent and called Rachel and Leah to the field unto his flock, and said unto them, I see your father's countenance, that it is not toward me as before, but the God of my father hath been with me. And ye know that with all my power I have served your father, and your father hath deceived me, and changed my wages 10 times, but God suffered him not to hurt me. If he said thus, the speckled shall be thy wages, then all the cattle bear speckled. And if he said thus, the ring-straked shall be thy hire, then bear all the cattle ring-straked. Thus God hath taken away the cattle of your father, and given them to me. And it came to pass at the time that the cattle conceived, that I lifted up mine eyes, and I saw in a dream, and behold, the rams which leaped upon the cattle were ring-straked, speckled, and grizzled. And the angel of God spake unto me a dream, saying, Jacob. And I said, Here I am. And he said, Lift up thine eyes, and see, all the rams which leap upon the cattle are ring-straked, speckled, and grizzled, for I have seen all that Laban doeth unto thee. I am the God of Bethel, where thou anointest the pillar, and where thou vowest to vow unto me. Arise, and get thee out from this land, and return unto the land of thy kindred. And Rachel and Leah answered and said unto him, Is there yet any portion of inheritance for us in our father's house? Are we not counted of him strangers? For he hath sold us, and hath quite devoured also our money. For all the riches which God hath taken from our father, that is ours, and our children's. Now then, whatsoever God hath said unto thee, do. And Jacob rose up, and set his sons and his wives upon camels, and he carried away all the cattle, and all the goods which he had gotten, and the cattle of his getting, which he had gotten in Padan Aram, for to go to Isaac his father in the land of Canaan. And Laban went to shear his sheep, and Rachel had stolen the images that were her father's. And Jacob stole away unawares to Laban the Syrian, that he told him not that he fled. So he fled with all that he had, and he rose up and passed over the river, and set his face toward the Mount Gilead. And it was told Laban on the 3rd day that Jacob was fled. And he took his brethren with him, and pursued after him 7 days' journey, and then overtook him in the Mount of Gilead. And God came to Laban the Syrian in a dream by night, and said unto him, Take heed that thou speak not to Jacob, either good or bad. Then Laban overtook Jacob. Now Jacob had pitched his tent in the mount, and Laban with his brethren pitched in the Mount of Gilead. And Laban said to Jacob, What hast thou done? And thou hast stolen away unawares to me, and carried away my daughters as captives taken up with the sword. Wherefore didst thou flee away secretly? I steal away from me, and didst not tell me that I might have sent thee away with mirth, and with songs, with tabret, and with harp, and hast not suffered me to kiss my sons and my daughters. Thou hast now done foolishly in so doing. It is in the power of my hand to do you hurt, but the God of your father spake unto me yesternight, saying, Take thou heed that thou speak not to Jacob, either good or bad. And now, though thou wouldest needs be gone, because thou sore longest after thy father's house. Yet wherefore hast thou stolen my gods? And Jacob answered and said to Laban, Because I was afraid, for I said, Peradventure thou wouldest take by force thy daughters from me. With whomsoever thou findest thy gods, let him not live. For our brethren, discern thou what is thine with me, and take it to thee. For Jacob knew not that Rachel had stolen them. And Laban went unto Jacob's tent, and unto Leah's tent, and in the two maidservants' tent, but he found them not. Then went he out of Leah's tent, and entered into Rachel's tent. Now Rachel had taken the images, and put them in the camel's furniture, and sat upon them. And Laban searched all the tent, but found them not. And she said to her father, Let it not displease my lord, that I cannot rise up before thee, for the custom of women is upon me. And he searched, but found not the images. And Jacob was wroth, and chode with Laban. And Jacob answered and said to Laban, What is my trespass? What is my sin, that thou hast so hotly pursued after me? Whereas thou hast searched all my stuff, what hast thou found of all the household stuff? Set it here before my brethren and thy brethren, and that they may judge betwixt us both. This 20 years have I been with thee. Thy ewes, thy she-goats have not cast their young, and the rams of thy flock I have not eaten. That which was torn of beasts I brought not unto thee. I bear the loss of it. Of my hands didst thou require it, whether stolen by day or stolen by night. Thus I was in the day the drought consumed me, drought consumed me, and the frost by night, and my sheep departed from mine eyes. Thus have I been 20 years in thy house. I served thee 14 years for thy 2 daughters, 6 years for thy cattle, and thou hast changed my wages 10 times. Except the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac has been with me. Surely thou hast sent me away now empty. God hath seen mine affliction and the labor of my hands, and rebuked thee yesternight. Laban answered and said unto Jacob, These daughters are my daughters, and these children are my children, and these cattle are my cattle, and all that thou seest is mine. And what can I do this day unto these my daughters, or unto their children which they have borne? Now therefore come thou, let us make a covenant, I and thou, and let it be for a witness between me and thee. Jacob took a stone and set it up for a pillar, and Jacob said unto his brethren, Gather stones. And they took stones and made a heap, and they did eat there upon the heap. And Laban called it Jagar Sahadutha, Laban called it Jagar Sahadatha, but Jacob called it Galeed. And Laban said, This heap is a witness between me and thee this day. Therefore was the name of it called Galeed. And Mizpah, for he said, The Lord watch between me and thee when we are absent from one another. If thou shalt afflict my daughters, or if thou shalt take other wives beside my daughters, no man is with us. See, God is witness betwixt me and thee. And Laban said to Jacob, Behold this heap, and behold this pillar which I have cast betwixt me and thee. This heap be witness, and this pillar be witness. That I will not pass over this heap to thee, and that thou shalt not pass over this heap and this pillar unto me for a harm. The God of Abraham and the God of Nahor, the God of their father, judge betwixt us. And Jacob sware by the fear of his father Isaac. Then Jacob offered sacrifice upon the mount, and called his brethren to eat bread. And they did eat bread, and tarried all night in the mount. And early in the morning Laban rose up, and kissed his sons and his daughters, and blessed them. And Laban departed, and returned unto his place. Okay, chapter 32. And Jacob went on his way, and the angels of God met with him. And when Jacob saw them, he said, This is my God's host. And he called the name of that place Mahanaim. And Jacob sent messengers before him to Esau his brother unto the land of Seir, the country of Edom. And he commanded them, saying, Thus shall ye speak unto my lord Esau. Thy servant Jacob saith thus, I have sojourned with Laban, and stayed there until now. And I have oxen and asses, flocks, and men servants and women servants, and I have sent to tell my lord that I may find grace in thy sight. And the messengers returned to Jacob, saying, We came to thy brother Esau, and asked also he cometh to meet thee, and 400 men with him. Then Jacob was greatly afraid and distressed, And he divided the people that was with him, and the flocks and herds and the camels, unto 2 bands, and said, If Esau come to the one company and smite it, then the other company which is left shall escape. And Jacob said, O God of my father Abraham, and God of my father Isaac, the Lord which says unto me, Return unto thy country and to thy kindred, and I will deal well with thee. I am not worthy of the least of all the mercies and of all the truth which thou hast shewed unto me, unto thy servant. For with my staff I passed over this Jordan, and now I am become 2 bands. Deliver me, I pray thee, from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau, for I fear him, lest he will come and smite me, and the mother with the children. And thou saidst, I will surely do thee good, and make thy seed as the sand of the sea, which cannot be numbered for multitude. And he lodged there with the same night, and took of that which came to his hand a present for Esau his brother, 200 she-goats and 20 he-goats, 200 ewes and 20 rams, 30 milch camels with their colts, 40 kine, and 10 bulls, 20 she-asses, and 10 fowls. And he delivered them into the land of his servants, every drove by themselves, and said unto his servants, Pass over before me, and put a space betwixt drove and drove. And he commanded the foremost, saying, When Esau my brother meeteth thee, and asketh thee, saying, Who art thou, and whither goest thou, and whose are these before thee? Then thou shalt say, They be thy servant Jacob's. It is a present sent unto my lord Esau, and behold, also he is behind us. And so commanded he the second, and the third, and all that followed the drove, saying, On this manner shall you speak unto Esau when you find him. And say ye moreover, Behold, thy servant Jacob is behind us. For he said, I will appease him with the present that goeth before me, and afterward I will see his face, peradventure he will accept of me. So went the present over before him, and himself lodged that night in the company. And he rose up that night, and took his 2 wives, and his 2 women servants, and his 11 sons, and passed over the ford Jabbok. And he took them, and sent them over the brook, and sent over that he had. And Jacob was left alone, and there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day. And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint as he wrestled with him. And he said, Let me go, for the day breaketh. And he said, I will not let thee go, except thou bless me. And he said unto him, What is thy name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, Thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince hast thou power with God and with men, and hast prevailed. And Jacob asked him, and said, Tell me, I pray thee, thy name. And he said, Wherefore is it that thou ask after my name? And he blessed him there. And Jacob called the name of the place Peniel. For I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. And as he passed over Penuel, the sun rose upon him, and he halted upon his thigh. Therefore the children of Israel eat not of the sinew which shrank, which is upon the hollow of the thigh, unto this day, because he touched the hollow of Jacob's thigh in the sinew that shrank. Chapter 33. And Jacob lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, Esau came with him 400 men, and he divided the children unto Leah, and unto Rachel, and unto the 2 handmaids. And he put the handmaids and their children foremost, and Leah and her children after, and Rachel and Joseph hindermost. And he passed over before them, and bowed himself to the ground 7 times until he came near to his brother. And Esau ran to meet him, and embraced him, and fell on his neck, and kissed him, and they wept. And he lifted up his eyes, and he saw the women and the children, and said, Who are those with thee? And he said, The children which God hath graciously given thy servant. Then the handmaidens came near, and their children, and they bowed themselves. And Leah also with her children came near, and bowed themselves, and after came Joseph near, and Rachel, and they bowed themselves. And he said, What meanest thou by all this drove which I met? And he said, These are to find grace in the sight of my Lord. Esau said, I have enough, my brother. Keep that thou hast unto thyself. And Jacob said, Nay, I pray thee, if now I have found grace in thy sight, then receive my present at my hand, for therefore I have seen thy face, as though I have seen the face of God, and thou wast pleased with me. Take, I pray thee, my blessing that is brought to thee, because God hath dealt graciously with me, and because I have enough. And he urged him, and he took it. And he said, Let us take our journey, and let us go, and I will go before thee. And he said unto him, My Lord knoweth that the children are tender, and the flocks and herds with young are with me. And if men should overdrive them one day, all the flock will die. Let my Lord, I pray thee, pass over before his servant, and I will lead on softly, according as the cattle that goeth before me, and the children be able to endure until I come unto my Lord unto Seir. And Esau said, Let me now leave with thee some of the folks that are with me. And he said, What needeth it? Let me find grace in the sight of my Lord. So Esau returned that day on his way unto Seir. And Jacob journeyed to Succoth, and built him a house that made booths for his cattle. Therefore the name of the place is called Succoth. And Jacob came to Shalem, a city of Shechem, which is in the land of Canaan, where he came from Paddan Aram, and pitched his tent before the city. And he bought a parcel of a field where he had spread his tent, and the hand of the children of Hamor, Shechem's father, for 100 pieces of money. And he erected there an altar, and called it El Elo Israel. Chapter 34. And Dinah, the daughter of Leah, which she bare unto Jacob, went unto see the daughters of the land. And when Shechem, the son of Hamor, the Hivite, prince of the country, saw her, he took her, and lay with her, and defiled her. And his soul clave unto Dinah, the daughter of Jacob, and he loved the damsel, and spake kindly unto the damsel. And Shechem spake unto his father Hamor, saying, Get me this damsel to wife. Jacob heard that he had defiled Dinah, his daughter. Now his sons were with his cattle in the field, and Jacob held his peace until they were come. And Hamor the father of Shechem went out unto Jacob to commune with him. And the sons of Jacob came out of the field, and they heard it. The men were grieved, and they were very wroth, because they had wrought folly in Israel in lying with Jacob's daughter, which thing ought not to be done. And Hamor communed with them, saying, The soul of my son Shechem longeth for your daughter. I pray you give him to wife. And make ye marriages with us, and give your daughters unto us, and take our daughters unto you. And ye shall dwell with us, and the land shall be before you dwell. And trade ye therein, and get your possessions therein. And Shechem said unto her father and unto her brethren, Let me find grace in your eyes, and what ye shall say unto me I will give. Ask me never so much dowry and gift, and I will give according as ye shall say unto me, but give me the damsel to wife. And the sons of Jacob answered Shechem and Hamor his father deceitfully, and said, Because he had defiled Dinah their sister. They said unto them, We cannot do this thing, to give our sister to one that is uncircumcised, for that they were a reproach unto us. But in this will we consent unto you, if ye will be as we be, that every male of you be circumcised. Then we will give our daughter unto you, and we will take your daughters to us, and we will dwell with you, and we will become one people. But if you will not hearken unto us to be circumcised, then will we take our daughters, and we will be gone. And their words pleased Hamor and Shechem Hamor's son. And the young man deferred not to do the thing, because he had delight in Jacob's daughter, and he was more honorable than all the house of his father. And Hamor and Shechem his son came unto the gate of their city, and communed with the men of their city, saying, These men are peaceable with us. Therefore let them dwell in the land, and trade therein. For the land, behold, it is large enough for them. Let us take their daughters to us for wives. Let us give them our daughters. Only herein will the men consent unto us for dwell with us, to be one people, if every male among us be circumcised, as they are circumcised. Shall not their cattle and their substance and every beast of theirs be ours? Only let us consent unto them, and they will dwell with us. And unto Hamor and unto Shechem his son hearkened all that went out of the gate of his city, and every male was circumcised, and all that went out of the gate of his city. Okay, chapter 34. And Dinah, the daughter of Leah, which he bare unto Jacob, went out to see the daughters of the land. And when Shechem, the son of Hamor the Hivite, prince of the country, saw her, he took her, and lay with her, and defiled her. And his soul clave unto Dinah, the daughter of Jacob, and he loved the damsel, and spake kindly unto the damsel. And Shechem spake unto his father Hamor, saying, Get me this damsel to wife. And Jacob heard that he had defiled Dinah his daughter. Now his sons were with his cattle in the field, and Jacob held his peace until they were come. Hamor the father of Shechem went out unto Jacob to commune with him. And the sons of Jacob came out of the field when they heard it, and the men were grieved, and they were very wroth, because they had wrought folly in Israel in lying with Jacob's daughter, which thing ought not to be done. And Hamor communed with them, saying, The soul of my son Shechem longeth for your daughter. I pray you give him to wife, and make ye marriages with us, and give your daughters unto us, and take our daughters unto you, and ye shall dwell with us, and the land shall be before you, dwell and trade you therein, and get your possessions therein. And Shechem said unto her father and unto her brethren, Let me find grace in your eyes, and what ye shall say unto me I will give. Ask me never so much dowry and gift, and I will give according as ye say unto me, but give me the damsel to wife. And the sons of Jacob answered Shechem and Hamor his father deceitfully, and said, Because he has defiled Dinah their sister. And they said unto them, We cannot do this thing, to give our sister to one that is uncircumcised, for that were a reproach unto us. But in this we will consent unto you, if ye will be as we be, that every male of you be circumcised. Then will we give you our daughters unto you, and we will take your daughters to us, and we will dwell with you, and we will become one people. But if you will not hearken unto us to be circumcised, then will we take our daughter, and we will be gone. And their words pleased Hamor and Shechem, Hamar's son. And the young man deferred not to do the thing, because they had delight in Jacob's daughter. And he was more honorable than any of the house of his father. And Hamor and Shechem his son came unto the gate of their city, and communed with the men of their city, saying, These men are peaceable with us, therefore let them dwell in the land, and trade therein, for the land, behold, it is large enough for them. Let us take their daughters to us for wives, and let us give them our daughters. Only herein will the men consent unto us, for dwell with us to be one people, if every male among us be circumcised, as they are circumcised. Shall not their cattle and their substance and every beast of theirs be ours? Only let us consent unto them, and they will dwell with us. And unto Hamor and unto Shechem his son hearkened all that went out of the gate of his city, and every male was circumcised, all that went out of the gates of his city. And it came to pass on the third day, when they were sore, that two of the sons of Jacob's, Simeon and Levi, Dinah's brethren, took each man his sword, and came upon the city boldly, and slew all the males. And they slew Hamor and Shechem his son with the edge of the sword, and took Dinah out of Shechem's house, and went out. The sons of Jacob came upon the slain, and spoiled the city, because they had defiled their sister. They took their sheep and their oxen and their asses, that which was in the city and that which was in the field, and all their wealth, and all their little ones and their wives, and they took captive, and spoiled even all that was in the house. And Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, Ye have troubled me to make me stink among the inhabitants of the land, amongst the Canaanites and the Perizzites, and I being few in number, they shall gather themselves together against me and slay me, and I shall be destroyed, I and my house. And they said, Should he deal with our sister as with a harlot? Okay, that's chapter 34, the end of chapter 34, and that's where I'm going to stop there at the beginning of chapter 35. And we're going to go back and review what I just read. Okay, chapter 29. Jacob went on his journey, and he found Nahor, and he knew he found some people that knew Nahor, and he talked to them and said, how is Laban, the son of Nahor? And they knew him and everything, and so they brought Jacob over to their place, and Jacob wanted Rachel to be his wife, and he actually Rachel was a shepherd. She tended to the sheep, and Nahor had two daughters, Leah and Leah and Rachel, and Rachel was the oldest. No, Leah was the oldest, and Rachel was the youngest. And Jacob wanted Rachel, but he had what he did was he made a deal for Rachel, but Laban made him work 7 years and be his slave for 7 years in order to get Rachel. But then he tricked him after he had worked for 7 years, and then he tricked him into giving him his oldest daughter, Leah. And he said, well, no, I wanted Rachel instead in this deal. And he said, well, it's not how we do things. We don't give the younger before the firstborn. So he said, well, what do I have to do to get Rachel? And then he said, well, serve me another 7 years. So he did. So he had 2 wives, Rachel and Leah, the two Laban's 2 daughters. And then Leah was his wife, and so was Rachel after the 14 years. But Leah had a bunch of children: Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah. And then Rachel was barren, and she wanted to have children, and so she had Jacob be with Bilhah and her handmaid, and then she gave him sons, Dan and Naphtali and Gad and Asher. And oh wait, no. And then Leah's maid bare Jacob Asher. So anyway, they had then Rachel said, Rachel was somebody brought mandrakes, and Jacob came out in the field, and Leah went out to meet him and said, "Thou must come unto me, for surely I have hired thee with my son's mandrakes." And he lay with her that night. So Leah had Issachar, and then had a 6th son named Zebulun, and then a daughter named Dinah. And then Rachel finally God hearkened and opened her womb, and she conceived Joseph. So they had all these kids and everything, and they were all together. But then Jacob and Laban, the father to the 2 daughters, Leah and Rachel, Laban decided to divide up their flocks, because Jacob had worked like under Laban for all these years and everything, and he didn't pay him anything, so he decided to. I mean, this guy was like making him work, and then he tricked him twice, and then now they made a deal that they would divide up their flocks and everything, and then then the daughters were like, well, what happened was all the speckled and spotted cattle and everything, and all the brown ones were given to Jacob, and then Laban had everything that was just plain, so they could tell the difference between the cattle. So they divided that up, and then they were going to leave to go back to where Jacob's land. So Jacob was going to take the 2 daughters, but Rachel had stolen something from her father before they left, but Jacob didn't know about it. And then they left, and they left with all their speckled, spotted cattle and brown. I mean, they didn't take anything that wasn't theirs, except for Rachel stole something like something very valuable, like her father's stuff, and then Laban caught up to them, and he said, "All right, why are you stealing my stuff? I gave you all these speckled, spotted cattle and everything." And he's like, "I didn't take anything from you." And then he said, "Yes, you did." And he said, "We'll check the tents, check Leah's tent and check Rachel's tent." And so they went thoroughly, checked through everything, and they got to Rachel, and she was sitting on a seat with the paperwork that she had stolen was underneath in the seat, and then they asked her. They said she said she couldn't get up from her seat because she was having her period, so they didn't search underneath her seat where the paperwork actually was. So Laban was like, "These daughters are my daughters, the children are my children, the cattle are my cattle, and all that thou seest is mine. And what can I do this day unto these my daughters, unto their children which they were born?" So they made a covenant. Jacob took a stone and set it for a pillar, and they made like a heap of stones in one area, and they each called it something different, saying that they wouldn't take each other's stuff, their daughters, So they did like a little covenant there in chapter 31. And Jacob went on his way in chapter 32. And the angels of God met him, and then they told him that Esau was coming up in the land of Seir, the country of Edom, and then he decided to divide up his what he had into two. That way his brother Esau wouldn't take out the whole entire. He wasn't sure what to expect with Esau, and so he divided up his cattle in two, and then they went along in two batches of people and cattle and everything. And then when Esau came up on the people, he told all those people to tell Esau that Jacob was way in the back. So he kept meeting up with him, and then finally he did find him, and Esau and him hugged and everything, and he told him, why didn't you want to see me? And he said he wasn't sure how he would handle him, if he was going to kill him or whatever. And then so they lodged that night, and then Jacob took his wives and his children and everything, and they went and they crossed the stream, and then Jacob was alone on one side of the stream, and he wrestled with a man, and he hurt his thigh was out of joint, and when he wrestled with him, and then he was wrestling with I think he wrestled with an angel, actually, because he said, "Let me go first, for the day breaketh." And he said, "I will not let thee go, except thou bless me." And he said unto them, "What is thy name?" And he said, "Jacob." And he said, "Thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel, for as a prince hast thou power with God and with men, and hast prevailed." So he wrestled with this angel, and the angel knew that he had power, like God's power behind him, and he won the wrestling match, or whatever you want to call it. And so he was renamed Israel, and that's very important too. And Jacob in chapter 33, and actually chapter 33 talks about Esau and him seeing each other and embracing each other, and then they met up, and then they hugged and everything, and then he gave his blessing. And and then Esau said, "Why are you?" Jacob was going to give Esau like a bunch of his cattle and everything, just so that he wouldn't kill him off and everything. And then Esau was like, "Why are you giving me all this stuff?" And then he said, and Esau said, "Let me now leave with thee some of the folk that are with me." And he said, "What needeth it? Let me find grace in the sight of my Lord." So Esau returned that day with his wain seer. Jacob journeyed unto Succoth and built him a house and made booths for his cattle. And then he brought about a parcel of the field where he had spread his tent and handed the children of Hamor, Shechem's father. Okay, so what happened was then he left and went to Shechem, or Shalem, a city of Shechem, which is in the land of Canaan. In chapter 34, Shechem, the son of Hamor, the Hivite, raped Dinah, Leah's daughter. This guy named Shechem, a Canaanite actually, and he raped her, and then Hamor was his father, and Shechem told his father Hamor that he wanted Dinah, and that he wanted to marry her and everything. And then Shechem said he would just do anything to marry her. But Hamor found Jacob, and he asked him if they could just, he said, my son would like to be with your daughter Dinah. I was wondering if you wanted to combine forces, if you wanted to combine your nation with my nation, and my people with your people, and then everything, just because we find that you I think it would be a good thing to have everybody mixed together. But since Shechem had already raped Dinah, in the back of his mind, he knew that and everything. And so what happened was Jacob told Hamor that everybody had to get circumcised if they were going to join forces. So that's why they didn't want Dinah to be with Shechem anyway, because he was uncircumcised. And so they consented to be circumcised. All the men gathered together. Hamor and Shechem came on and took all the men, gathered them together, and told them, we have to get circumcised in order to be mixed in with this other party, this group. So they did. They all got circumcised, and when they were sore, it says, when it came to pass on the third day, when they were sore, the two sons of Jacob, Simeon and Levi, Dinah's brethren, slew all the males of the city, because they couldn't fight, because they were circumcised, and they were still sore. And the sons of Jacob came upon the slain and spoiled the city, and because they had defiled their sister, they took everything from them, all their little ones, the wives, and they just took all the females, the cattle, the babies, and everything. And Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, "Ye have troubled me to make me stink among the inhabitants of the land, amongst the Canaanites and the Perizzites." So he was mad at his sons, Simeon and Levi. He was really mad at them for doing that. And I, being few in number, they shall gather themselves together against me and slay me, and I shall be destroyed, and I and my house. And they said, should he deal with our sister as with a harlot? Levi and Simeon were because their sisters getting defiled by Shechem, they were why are they allowed to treat our daughter as a whore and rape her and everything, And so that's where we landed off, and that was the question, the cliffhanger. until tomorrow. And they said, should he deal with our sister as with a harlot? They're asking the father, Jacob, if they should be allowed to get away with that. So we'll find out tomorrow when we do our next Bible reading, starting in chapter 35. And I really appreciate you continuing to watch my episode 5 now. I took a day off yesterday because I couldn't do it. I had so much to do, but I'm back in. It's Monday, a new week. I'm going to try to do this every day this week, and then we'll get through this Bible. And I'm already, actually, I'm learning a lot just by doing this myself. I'm learning by going through each word, and I hope that you're learning something too from it. I hope it's not too long for you. I realize that it's 50 minutes or so every day, but if you just hang in there and read, read along with me and listen to these each day, then it'll be good, because you'll really get blessed with it, as I have. Thank you very much. I love you guys. Please subscribe to my channel down below where it says subscribe. Just make that, just hit that button and like this video if you like it, and comment below, and I'll try to answer your questions if you have any. Well, God bless you. I love you. Mwah. Bye.